This will be the first of 9 separate exercises in which to create this dynamic dashboard here within Excel. This dynamic dashboard will update automatically as we add additional data for the current month and the previous month information. Alright, let's get into it. The first thing I want to do is look at the Master Data Info workbook showing me 3 separate worksheets here at the bottom. I want to review this information, seeing that the customer worksheet has a set of data here and it appears to be a table. So if I come over to Table Design ribbon tab, it's going to show me over here that indeed this is called the Customers table. Okay, let's go over to our products, and I can see that this is also a table. It's called the Products table, and it has 4 columns of information, or 4 fields. Now let's go over to the Sales Employees, and I can see there are 2 here, 2 columns, and then there's the name of Sales Employee table. Pretty simple. That's really what I want to look at. And now I want to open up my dashboard workbook, and I want to create a connection to each of these tables via this main workbook. Pretty simple. Alright, let's get to it. Here we are within our dashboard workbook. You will have wanted to save this with your first and last name at the beginning of the file name there, and in doing so allows you to keep the main workbook so that you can use it again and again for additional exercises. So once you've renamed it, I'm here on the calculation worksheet, and what I want to do at this point is just create that connection referencing that Master Data Info workbook. Now before I begin, I want to encourage you to use that pause, rewind, play features here in this video. I'm going to go at a kind of a good clip here, good speed, but I don't want to waste too much time. There's a lot to cover, so please use those. So here we go. We're going to come up to our Data ribbon tab and go over to the Get and Transform Data group and click Get Data. So I'm going to go from File, and then look at that, from Excel Workbook. I'll click this, then I'll see the Import Data dialog box open up. I'll navigate over to the exercise files, the EX files folder, and then what I want to do is I want to find the Master Data Info here, and I want to just double click it. When I do, I see it's creating a connection. It's going to give me this little Navigator window here, and then what I want to do is I want to look down here and see that there are 6 items, and it tells me right there 6 items within this folder. And this folder represents the workbook itself. Within that workbook, we have several different items here. It looks like it's broken it out as, it identifies the tables. See how it says tables there? It also has that icon for tables. And then these are the worksheets. What I want to do is if I were to select individual tables here, it gives me a preview. And if I click Transform Data, it's going to show me that it's referencing or connecting to that specific table, which means that as this updates or changes, I'm going to have to go back through the whole process and identify the location of each of these tables. I don't want to do that. I'm going to choose the folder here. That way that when I click Transform Data, it's going to connect to that workbook itself. So I'm going to click Transform Data. And this is what it looks like. Pretty simple. Now in the book it tells you just go to Close and Load and then Close and Load 2. What I want to do is save a little bit of time. I'm going to first rename it, so I'm going to click inside here and put in Master Data Connection, and then you'll notice I use this camel casing because we can't have any spaces here. That's the first letter of each word capitalized. That's camel casing, and then I press enter. It's now been accepted. Over here in the list of queries, it's showing me that it has been renamed. Pretty simple. Now from here, what I want to do is I want to look at my reference information here. See, I have a kind column here, and it's showing me the first 3 are sheets, worksheets. The last 3 are tables. So I want to create a reference connection to this main connection to each of these tables. The customers table, products table, sales employee table. So I'm going to right click on the master data connection and click on reference. Now from here I can see it's selected already, so I'm going to press F2, and then I'm going to call this one master products, just like that, and then I'll press enter. Now after I've created that reference, I want to change this table reference so that it's specifically looking at just the products. So here in row 5, here's my product table. I'm going to click this little link right here under the data column. So if I click this, it's going to then reference the products, right? and it looks real good. Now it does, if I look over here in the applied steps, it's showing me that it has referenced the main data connection, which is the master data connection, and then it's going to navigate to that specific table, and then it's going to do a change type, which means that it automatically looks at each column. What kind of information is in this column? In this case, it's numeric. And this one is looking at text. See that little icon? If I click that, it's going to show me my options. I could change it if I want, but I'll leave it at text. This one's also text. It's just one of those little things that you want to do when you're creating this. Now that we've done that, I want to go and reference the main connection again. I'm going to right click this, reference, and it's selected, so I'll press F2, and I want to call this one Master Customers. Just like that, I'll press enter. So now I've referenced the customers. As you might imagine, I'm going to come to my customers table, click that table icon, and look at that. It shows me it's navigated and also change type. It's given each column or field a particular field type. This one's numeric, alphabetic, alphabetic, alphabetic. That could be changed later. That's alphabetic. That could also be changed later. However, within the customers table reference, I don't want all these other columns of information or fields. The only ones I want is the customer ID and the customer name. So what I want to do is come down to my applied steps, remove that change type. I'm just going to click that X. So it now is not been applied. You can see each one is just a generic, right, field type. I'm going to press Control and select customer name. So now both of these columns are selected. With them selected, I want to remove all the others. So I'm going to right click the header of any one of them and choose Remove Other Columns. Good. Now that I've done that, now I want to apply the specific field types. But I'm going to show you how we can use Power Query to do it for us. Here on the Transform ribbon tab in the Any Column group, I'm going to click Detect Data Type. And there it is. So there I have numeric. This one is text. Real good. Next, there's one last table I want to reference, and that's the sales employees. So I'm going to right click the main reference, the master data, and choose reference. And it's selected, so I'll press F2, and I'm going to call this master sales employee. And when I say employee, I abbreviate it, EMP, just like that. And then I'll press enter. It's been renamed. I'm going to come over to the sales employee table link, click that right there. There's only 2 columns, so that's good. That's all we need to do. Now I want to create my close and load, and then create only a connection. So I'm going to click the bottom half here and click close and load to. In my import data dialog box here, I'm going to come over and choose only create connection and add this data to the data model. So I'll click OK. Over in the queries and connections, I can see it's loading here in the task pane. Good, good, good. Now, not only does it show me the tables and the connections, it's going to show me how many rows are within each one of them. Pretty great. Now, there's one piece of information that we're missing here. It's a text file that consists of all the sales information. We have the master product, master customers, master employees, but now we want to connect the sales information also. It happens to be a text file. So what I want to do is come up to my data ribbon tab, and then in the Get and Transform Data, I'm going to click From Text CSV. From there, I'll navigate to my exercise folder, and I'm going to open up the sales data folder, and there is the text file that I want to open. So I'm going to click import. It's going to give me a wonderful preview with all of the individual columns of information that we have here. Now, as I look at this, I can see that it's pretty complete. However, we're missing a column of information, which is like a total, or the sales value of quantity times unit price. So I want to add that here. I'm going to click Transform Data. This opens up in my Power Query editor, and it's been added to the list of queries here as a table. That is real great. So I'm going to scroll to the right. I'm going to find there's my quantity and my unit price. I'm just going to click the first one here to select it, and then I'm going to press Control and click Unit Price. So now they're both selected. Now this is one of the really great features of Power Query. I'm going to come over to the Add Column ribbon tab. Over in the From Number group, I'm going to click Standard, and here's a list of what I can perform. I'm going to choose Multiply because I want to multiply these 2 columns. Look at that. It added it up for me, multiplied it nicely. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to double click the header, and I'm going to call this Sales Value. And then I'll press Enter. Pretty simple. Now when I'm done with this, now I want to create that connection. So I'm going to come to my Home ribbon tab, click Close and Load, and then click Close and Load To. Here in the Import Data ribbon dialog box, I'm going to click Only Connection and add this data to the data model. Click OK. I can see it's loading right here. There it is. There are 23,445 rows in this data. Pretty simple. In the next exercise, what we'll end up doing is creating a relationship between each of these tables. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next exercise.